Have you ever wondered since the release of Toy Story 5, not only what's left of the story, but what more they could potentially bring to these characters? Well, as of now, we don't know the cast of who is confirmed to be in this film, or even if this is the last one in the franchise. Hopefully so. But from what we know about previous films, what could be the worst and best of what can happen in this film? Well, for one, there are still numerous questions to be answered, at least for me, so today I wanted to go over everything that would be best to happen and the worst. I've talked about Andy's dad before in this channel a few times, going as far as figuring out the genes of Andy and his mom and knowing what traits he has. What I would really love is actually seeing a picture or some type of hint at his father, where he is or where he's been. Another factor that I've seen even in the comment section of a few of my videos is Forky. Now there are some of you that like him and some of you that don't, as it is literally just a fork. However, Disney does pretty well with developing its character and making a utensil a living, breathing thing with emotions and feelings I'm sure was hard enough for them, but they were able to pull it off nonetheless. But I want to say it might be for the best if Forky didn't return for this next sequel, and if he did, just for a small part that didn't intrude with the point of the story, whatever that might be. And speaking about Andy a lot in this video, of course, the last we saw of him, Woody was saying goodbye as he was driving away to college. Now we don't know where that college is or how far away it is, but if we assume that he is still roaming around with Bo Peep and they want to continue on from there, I feel like it's more possible that they could run into Andy. Why they would be near a college? Well, maybe they somehow get led to the exact one Andy is staying at. Nonetheless, I think Andy is the one character that we would really like to see in one way or another. However, I do want to be careful saying that, as if we do get to see Andy, it shouldn't just be in a glimpse or flashback. And even if that's what we are expecting and the writers might think this, going back to the origin story makes sense. But of course they can throw in a curveball of their choice, so we're not expecting every single thing that happens. Another thing we could expect is Woody running into the gang again. Now this is something that I not only think is very possible, but wouldn't make sense if it didn't happen. Having a film with just Woody wouldn't make sense at all, as all we've seen them as is a whole group. Now for the three things that could be the worst would be no Andy at all, and just Woody and Bo Peep exploring on their own, with never seeing the rest of the toys. Of course, we don't know as of the time of this recording if they will bring on new characters, but it's more than likely because they always have with other films, and it's very possible that the new toy will be a villain. The one thing we don't know that would be the time period of when we see Andy again. As we know, we will see him and Buzz again for sure, but we don't know where they could be, as the movie could start from where the end of Toy Story 4 left off or years after. I want to take a second to really explain what I think the best outcome for this film would be. One of the reasons I want to see Andy's dad so much is because I believe Woody came from him. Andy's mom saying that Woody was an old family toy is the only hint we have to how old Woody really is and how long he has been in this family specifically. Andy being 8 at this time, it doesn't seem long enough for Woody to be considered old. At least 10 years plus would be an old toy or antique. Obviously Woody is still in good shape with a bit of a rip, but even Andy's mom still considers Woody very important within the family. Now Woody was designed as a set piece, but there's no telling if there were others out there. Considering how long Al was looking for Woody to complete the set, it really makes me think that Woody is the only toy of his kind. The stitchings, the colors of the badge, all of it. So I'm choosing to believe that Woody came from his father. If you haven't noticed, Woody never ever spoke about a previous owner. Only Andy and Bonnie and Woody was already close with Andy from the very beginning of the scene in the first film. So it makes me believe even more that he was with Andy since he was a baby, or he just became so attached to Andy because he was his favorite toy for so long and the previous owners didn't care much for him, explaining why he never talked about a previous owner. Obviously what I want more than anything, but still don't think we're going to get, is actually seeing Andy's dad, or at least Woody's life before Andy. The moral of the story is Pixar creates great stories regardless. Toy Story may be a touchy subject for some, as it has been the most moneymaker for the company. Audiences and the industry leaders know this, but the story itself is delicate, so audiences alike will be very picky and choosy with what works in the sequel and what doesn't. In general, what makes a great story is character, a clear goal, why, and the journey. We have seen this in 4 different ways with the same character, Woody. Of course, with the help of his friends, Woody got out of every difficult situation, but the fact of the matter was it was Woody who was in trouble every single time, whether alone or with the group. Once you have a good idea, it is to be treated like a seed that is to be sprouted into a story. Detailed characters, setting, where the story is going, and if the goal is reached and how. All of these must be included, as well as a likable character. Of course, we will recognize that as Woody. We will also recognize that every character they created has been individualized with their own characteristics and act as supporting characters to Woody. With this next installment, there must be a good character development development, a crisis, or obstacles to where the main character, more than likely Woody, has a goal of and a reason to root for him, other than the audience loving the character anyways. So I'm really wondering what your thoughts are, and whether you wanted another Toy Story or not, what you want to see or what other questions you might have about Andy or the rest of the toys you'd finally like answered. Until next time, bye!